we will still have our chapter 1 quiz there on Friday, okay? So just be kind of prepared for that. If I don't get everything covered today on chapter 1, I will come back on Friday and I will talk about the stuff that we did, because we have to build a base for this class where we have a general understanding. Okay, we didn't take high school econ, we didn't take college micro. What do we have to know? Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. That being said, on Friday we'll have a current events quiz. It will include today's current events, and then we'll also have the chapter 1 quiz. The other thing is, reminder, make sure that you are thinking about what your topic will be for a paper presentation. They're quickly starting to fill up. On the other hand, I will also tell you this. There are some people who are sending me something like medicine. Well, what about medicine? And make sure that you don't just try to cover the entire broad field, because that just isn't good. Okay, you need to be a little bit more specific when it comes down to what your topic is, because there's going to be multiple people who I want to do some aspect of medicine. What aspect of medicine do you want to do? So we'll see from there. But we got current events here today. SOTU or SOTU, what does it stand for?
That's it.
Anybody watch it last night? I was at a basketball game, so I had to watch it delayed. But Dylan, Drew, what do you guys think?
Speech.
The speech, yeah. Pretty impactful, you thought? Dylan? It's all right. Okay. Average. Probably the things that stuck out here, folks. There's two images right here that I think many people are talking about. You have President Trump with Nancy Pelosi looking over him, the new Speaker of the House. And I think the other thing that we start to see is down here. What do you see in that picture? What is the thing that hopefully stands out a little bit?
Those open seats.
What's that? There wasn't open seats. Everybody made it.
What is that? What are those? The big white blob in the middle.
Thank you, Hooper. What is the big white blob? Realize the women who are the members of the House decided to show that since this is the most representation by women in Congress, they decided to dress in white. And so if you see white in the stands, what's going on here is these are women who are part of the House. Women in the Senate decided not to do this, but women of the House decided to do this. And so you're sitting there looking at this right and left, you're seeing a large portion of white, and we've never seen that many. You can even see Nancy Pelosi is in the background. She is also dressed in white. So white was just to show the representation of women within Congress, which is kind of cool. If you saw President Trump's speech, he actually kind of gave him a shout out. You saw some of our Congress people actually doing this. I don't know what I thought of that, but you saw Nancy Pelosi stand up and start cheering President Trump, and he turned around and goes, "I didn't expect that." And so there were some good moments in the speech if you watched it. I don't want you guys to know those numbers, but I think if you look at the speech, this is what some CBS News polls came back with. 76% of Americans who watched the speech said, yeah, this was a good speech. 24% didn't like it. We can kind of see where that is, though. We can see that the majority of the people who were watching were Republicans. Very few Democrats watched it, and then we had a number of independents in there. But probably what I would want you guys to know there, I want you to know that the women of Congress were dressed up in white, and that's probably the thing that I think most people are probably talking about here today. Okay. Second thing, revelation. What's been going on here, folks, is we've been fighting the war against Al-Qaeda for some time now. And what's going on, folks, is we've been having a revelation that Al-Qaeda is coming back. And what's going on is the country that they're coming back in, and you should know this, is Yemen. There is an uprising of Al-Qaeda within the country of Yemen. If you know Yemen, it has been a stronghold for terrorist groups for quite some time now. One of the things that we have found out in the last 6 months, though, that is very, very disturbing, is that Yemen is using U.S. technology against American troops. We are fighting Al-Qaeda, and you may be sitting there thinking, okay, maybe it's a gun. No, it's not. These are pictures of Al Qaeda using American technology against U.S. troops and defending themselves using this. And for the last 6 months, if you've been paying attention to the story, people have been trying to figure out who the heck has been giving them the technology. We found the answer yesterday. Anyone know what country is giving them the technology? You can probably guess if you know. Think about this. There you got one of two possible guesses here. Anyone have a guess?
Russia.
Russia would be an obvious guess, but it's not Russia, Zach. Okay, anyone know the other one? Saudi Arabia. It is Saudi Arabia, folks. What's going on, folks, is we have just found out that one of the largest suppliers of oil to the United States, and also the country that owns the majority of owns a good portion of our debt, has been buying U.S. weapons from the United States. In fact, we just sold them $250 billion worth of weapons, and what are they doing? They're not keeping it. They're selling it to Al Qaeda for even more money. And so now there's questions of, should we actually be selling weapons to Saudi Arabia? But the key here is Saudi Arabia. Okay. The third thing here, admission. Hopefully you know who this young man is here. Pope Francis. Pope Francis had a huge revelation or admission yesterday. Anyone see what he said? What did he admit to? Anyone? Priests in the Catholic Church, folks, have been using nuns in the sex slave business. What's going on, folks, is he admitted the fact that nuns have been used in the sex slave business within the Catholic Church. People have been whispering about this, and there's actually a report from the Washington Post about a year ago. And what's going on is Pope Francis came forward and said, yes, we've had to remove some priests from this. We've had to close down on a few monasteries. We've had to close down a few. We've had to put some nuns in different places because what happened was they were all part of the sex slave business. And so it is a crazy, crazy revelation. And for Pope Francis to come forward and admit this is probably even crazier. But it is something that has people shaking hands on this one. So we shall see. The fourth thing here, inflated. The inflated here, folks, is this company right here, Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, is having people shake their heads here a little bit. And what's going on here is Catalyst Pharmaceuticals, for the last 3 years, has created something called, or has created a, not a vaccine, but not a cure, but a way of treating something called autoimmune disease. And what's going on is, if you have autoimmune disease, what does that mean happens to you if you walk into some place that has like cold or the flu? You're gonna get sick, and probably what's gonna happen is you're gonna die. The people who have autoimmune disease basically live their entire life where?
In a bubble.
In a hospital or in a bubble, plastic bubble someplace. And so what's going on is about 4 years ago, Catalyst Pharmaceuticals came up with something that could treat people who had AID. And sat there and said, hey, you can now kind of live a normal life, not at the hospital every day, not in a bubble every day, because we're going to give you this shot every single day. And the thing that had people kind of excited about this was Catalyst Pharmaceuticals was giving this shot that you had to get every single day for free. It wasn't going to cost you anything until 2 days ago. Guess what Catalyst Pharmaceuticals did the cost to the shot that you need every day of your life, 365 days a year for the rest of your life? Guess what they did? Jacked up the price from free. How much do you think they're now charging for one shot?
$100.
Seriously? 1,000? Oh, Jesus. For one?
10,000.
Even more. $375,000
For one
for
shot?
one shot. They're banking on the fact that the people who have this, Drew, have what? They have insurance. Well, yeah, they have the AID. They have the AID, yeah. But they have insurance, and what's going to happen is the insurance will cover the $375,000. But what if you don't have insurance? That's the people who are in a world of hurt right now. And so this has people, understand Republicans, Democrats, President Trump, Bernie Sanders, you name it, are coming back and saying there is something seriously wrong. Okay? Can they force them to lower the price? No. But I have a feeling that there will be a back ways of possibly doing this.
Did that company get sued by the people who did it? Cause like,
Can't.
even if they were supplying it and
Yeah.
then like they go through a withdrawal process.
That's what has everybody so pissed right now.
Oh.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. $375,000 every single day. And
Why did they jack it from free to that expensive?
because they're jerks. And they can. And they actually think that they've had this plan for quite some time because, and since you're asking the question, I'll give you a little bit of backstory. There were two different companies that were both working on this. And Catalyst Pharmaceuticals was the first one to get their product out there. And they put it out there for free. So guess what the other company did with their research? Stopped it and scrapped it. And so they let it go for 3 years, waiting for that other company to scrap it and say, hey, we can't catch up again. And now what they're doing is they're jacking up the price. They intelligently thought about this in a horrible, horrible way. Okay. The fourth or fifth thing here, Bill introduced Hawaii. And if you do not know, folks, Hawaii is voting on a bill today to raise the age to buy cigarettes. Right now in Hawaii, it costs, you have to read the cost. The age to buy cigarettes in Hawaii is 21 years old. Anyone hear what they want to raise the age to?
30.
Higher.
100.
100.
I was gonna say.
They realize they cannot ban or outlaw the sale of cigarettes legally. So what are they going to do? They're going to make it to where you can't buy it unless you're at an age where you're probably not going to be smoking anyway because you're probably dead, okay, already. And so what's going to happen, folks, is they're trying to raise the age to buy cigarettes to 100. Here's their process. They can't automatically go from 21 to 100. So what they're going to do is for 2020, they want to make it 30. 2021, they want to make it 50. 2022, they want to make it like 70. 2023, they want it to be 90. And 2024, they want it to be 100. So, kind of ingenious, but we'll see. Zach?
Would people be grandfathered in then?
No. Nobody's getting grandfathered in on that thing. It's just sound. So that's one thing that they did say, no grandfather, so we'll see. Okay. And then yesterday, anyone know what New Year started? Chinese New Year. Year of the?
Hey.
Good job.
Did you hear that in
Year of the
class?
pig. Year of the
What,
pig.
the
So,
pig statue?
Chinese New Year, realize
That's what it's called.
if you were 12 years old, you were born in the year of the pig. So it is the Chinese New Year, and a lot of people celebrate this. Okay. Anything I missed, or any questions on that stuff?
I was gonna ask about why, like, are there any other states that are considering doing that?
No, none.
Just
None. Hawaii has always been on the forefront of progressive when it comes to this type of stuff. Everybody thinks New York was on the forefront of putting the tax on soft drinks. It was actually Hawaii that did that first. And so they have very progressive thinking politicians there. But I think if this goes, I bet you we start to see other states start to introduce stuff like this. Cooper?
What it, like, I don't know what Zach meant by grandfathering in exactly.
Grandfather in would be that, so when Zach said grandfather in, would be that if you are the age right now, let's say you're 22 years old,
Yeah.
you can buy cigarettes in Hawaii. Grandfather in would mean if you can already buy it now, even though they raised the age to 100, you would still be allowed to buy it because you can't have that right taken away from you.
Oh.
Your grandfather in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Stuff? All right. So, economics. What do we know? And so today, folks, what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about economics. And again, I'm not going to be a jerk about this. I know I'm going to throw a ton of information at you, and then I will try to go slow. And realize, don't hesitate to just raise your hand and go, Granning, stop, slow down, you're going way too fast, and I will be more than willing to do that. okay? But what we know already is economics to study what? Choices. An economist wants to know, why are you in this class? And we know already it gives us life, okay? We know that you were alive because this class. Those people not here today, we don't know if they'll be here Friday, okay? Because they may be dead, okay? I'm gonna knock on wood on that one, just in case something bad happens, okay? But what's happening here, folks, is we know it's about choices, okay? And so here are our objectives today, okay? If you really want to think about what the quiz is gonna be, know what economics is. I can flat out tell you one of the questions, and realize the questions are multiple choice, A through D. There's gonna be somewhere between 10 and 12 questions. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to know what the definition of economics is. And if you just basically know it's choices, there's 1 out of 10 guaranteed right there, okay? We want to talk about economic theory. We wanna know the difference between micro and macro, which we've already talked about in this class. And we're gonna talk about the problem, okay? We're gonna talk about the problem that economics is trying to solve. When Adam Smith came up with that book, Wealth of Nations, why would he write that book? Well, what is he so concerned about that he's trying to solve? And we're going to talk about that problem, and the answer is scarcity, okay? And so and we're going to talk about something called the PPC curve, or production possibilities model, okay? And so economics defined, this is the way your book defines it. I'm a flat out tell you right now, do not write this down. I literally want you to know that economics is a study of choices. Please, if you know that, you are fine, okay? I promise you, okay? You are fine if you know. Maybe the one thing you have to know is it is a social science. And it does use the scientific method to try to prove what it does know, okay? So it is a social science. We're gonna use the scientific method, not necessarily in this class, but what's gonna happen is we are gonna have we're gonna have to take a look at it, okay? Here's the hardest thing in this class, okay? It's something called the economic perspective. There are words and there are phrases in this class that I will use. They go, oh yeah, I know what that is. And I'm going to present it in a different way. I'm going to have to take your mind and I'm going to have to twist it about 90 degrees, okay? What do I mean by this? If you're in Everly's class, don't tell Everly I said this, okay? If you're in Everly's class, what axis is this?
Why?
It's the y-axis. This is x-axis. Guess what? In economics, sometimes they will make this the x-axis. Sometimes they will make this the y-axis. If you are a math person, you may not like economics for about the first 2-3 weeks. Because what's going to happen is we're going to take what you know and we're going to twist it. And so what we have to do, folks, is we have to get you thinking like an economist, okay? We have to get you to understand, hey, here's the terminology of economics, and here's how we think. And I use this in all my econ classes, a natural resource, okay? A natural resource is anything that comes from where?
Nature.
The earth, or nature, okay? And economics, the definition is anything that comes from earth, and the tagline onto that is anything that comes from earth that people are willing to pay for, okay? And so one of the biggest arguments in economics all the time is water. Is water a natural resource? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He's going to drink.
He did this last time.
Is it not?
Watch out, Zach.
People can just go get water, they don't have to pay for it. Like if you go into a restaurant, you can get water for free.
You might get wet.
Yeah, people are not willing to pay for water.
Do you miss Dan?
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually huge. I didn't know.
I honestly feel like I'm just in econ all over again. I'm so related.
Here we go. You just told me water is a natural resource and you're willing to pay for it. 25 cents, right now. Pull 25 cents out. I will pour this down your throat right now. Okay? It's fairly cold. It's wet. It tastes pretty stinking good right now. Okay? 25 cents, and I will pour this down your throat. I see Jameson pulling money out.
I feel like you're still like down here a little bit, like just second card.
Okay, a dime. I'll go a dime. Okay? For the labor.
I don't have a dime.
I got a 50, that's all I got. I think I have change. I think I have change. No. Are you sure? Okay? Now the thing is you just told me that water is a natural resource and you won't. Why is nobody pulling out the dime? Hell, it's just a dime.
Bottom of my bag.
Oh, you're late. Here, you can get it to me later, Holly. Are you sure? Okay, I would never pour that down. So, there's always one person who pulls that down. We go, no, I'm not gonna do it. Okay. But here's the thing. Okay, you just moving around or what the hell?
I thought you were gonna give me a whack.
But here's the thing, folks, is what caused you not to buy it?
Wasn't in a bottle.
It wasn't a bottle. Okay, so, and some people go, well, geez, I have water. You know, it's a situation that's going on. And so we have to understand that how we view things might be slightly different in economics. Okay? And so the key features of economics are scarcity and choice. Okay? We make choices because of scarcity. Okay? Scarcity is what is referred to as the economizing problem in economics. When Adam Smith wrote Wealth of Nations, what was he trying to do? He's trying to decide how do we solve this problem. I'd like to do this, I'd like to do this. I have to make a choice. I can't do both. I only have so much time, okay? And so the problem of economics, that economics is continuously trying to solve, is scarcity. It's the reason why you're in this class, okay? The other thing is we want purposeful behavior, okay? Economists believe that you do things for a certain reason. And Adam Smith wrote about that reason. And we'll talk about it here in just a second. And the third thing is marginal analysis. How we make those choices comes down to something called marginal analysis, okay? Marginal meaning additional, okay? Marginal in economics always refers to as addition, okay? And so what we refer to in economics, folks, is something called the economic triumvirate, or I refer to. What does it mean? There's really three important concepts. If you decide, hey, I want to go back and take a college econ class, just that basic 100 level econ class, realize it's really just three subjects. The first one is choice. The second one is scarcity. And then the third one is something called opportunity cost. These two, not so bad. Where people sometimes struggle in this class is when it comes down to this one right here. Okay, opportunity cost. And so we need to talk about those three things right there. Okay? So let's talk about choice. Okay? And in economics, folks, what has to happen is we have to make choices. We make choices because of scarcity. What choices do we need to make? We need to make choices of, hey, is this a need or is it a want? Okay? Now, a want is obviously something that does what? What is a want? I want that.
Not a necessity.
It's not a necessity. Okay? It's not something necessary for what?
Life.
Life or survival. Okay? On the other hand, a need is something that is necessary for survival. So in economics, what happens is they say there's three basic needs. What are the three basic needs?
Food, water, shelter.
Food, water, you hear that all the time. Food and water are actually both considered food. Water's thrown in and grouped in with food. So we have food, we have shelter, we're missing one.
Clothing.
Clothing is the third one, okay? These are the three basic needs in this class. Food, clothing, shelter. Now I'm also going to tell you, is anyone going to NSU next year? Anyone going to North Dakota State? You are? Holly, maybe, okay? You're going to run into an econ teacher in your freshman econ class if you have to take it. Since you're taking this, you probably won't have to take it unless you go into business or econ, please. Okay, but what's going to happen? Come on, don't shake your head. Give me a chance first. Okay, what's going to happen there is there's actually a professor there right now by the name of Williamson who is teaching that there's actually a fourth need. Anyone want to take a guess what the fourth need might be? Well, I don't say.
Love.
What's that?
Love.
Boy, Cooper How bad do you need a Valentine's Day date right now? Somebody's got to help Hooper out. The first thing he throws out is love. In a perfect world, Hooper, that's right, but that is not love. Anyone else? No. Transportation is often thrown into that, but it's not transportation. Although I will tell you, there's a professor at Duke University who thinks it is transportation. What's that? What's that?
Money.
Money? Now we got the guy who's all about love back there. We got the greedy guy up here. It's not money. Yeah. Not warmth. Do you say warmth?
Warm.
Yeah. No, warmth is kind of thrown in clothing. Yeah.
Electricity?
Not electricity.
Technology.
What's that?
Technology.
What piece of technology?
Cell phone.
Cell phones.
Seriously?
He honestly thinks, folks, that cell phones are a piece that is a basic need. And if you look at my cell phone, which I'm not very good at running, okay, think about what this is. This is my compass. This is my music. This is my entertainment. This is my map. Think of all the things in the last 15 years that this has replaced. And he's saying this is basic need, okay? And the thing is, folks, is how important is this? There's a proposal that in the year 2025 that what goes away? Currency. Then what happens, folks, is the currency that's in our, and I don't know if I have any money in my pocket, probably not, but the money that is tangible, the money that we have, then 2025 it goes away. The thought and the process will still be there, but they want to replace tangible money and currency. Why? Because it costs us $1 billion every year to our national debt to replace it. And so what they want to do is they want to make it to where we could use this as our form of exchange. And we don't have to have a dollar bill, we don't have to have a $5 bill, we don't have to have a quarter, a nickel, penny. All transactions could be done with this. And I don't know, by the way, what companies or what industry will control how we make those exchanges. Who?
Bitcoin.
Not Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not a good thing right now. Phone companies, believe it or not. You sit there and talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin and all those other ones like XM and stuff like that, they're not the ones that are making the inroads and convincing government. It is AT&T, it is T-Mobile, it is Verizon going, hey, we'll do the exchanges for you. We don't need a universal currency like Bitcoin because we'll do it for you and we'll actually make it to where it's easily transferable. And it is already happening, folks. How often can you walk into a store anymore and just scan and what happens, it goes. Your phone companies by 2025 could become your debtors or your creditors is the way I should probably say it. Yeah.
So then what would happen, would that happen all over the world? So like if you wanted to, like if you have $1 and you change it out for currency in a different country?
So what happens is if you go to Norway, you pull out your phone and say, hey, I need some krones. And you'd scan it and they give you the krones if they haven't made the adjustment. Okay, yeah.
So what would happen to banks then?
That's a great question. That really is the great question. And then that's the question I think a lot of people are asking right now is, what does happen to banks? And if you don't know, and if you pay attention to how finance is going, and how financial advising is starting to go, realize I had people who were telling me how to run my mutual funds 5 years ago. Guess what I'm doing now? There's apps where I don't have to pay a 2%, 3% fee. I get to do it myself and have all the analysis, and they're doing the analysis for me. I get the analysis for free, and I'm making my investments myself. I have a feeling we're going to start seeing the move. Or what's going to happen is banks are probably going to have to reinvent themselves, which they are doing, and they're doing actually very well. Hooper, did you have something?
Oh, what if you don't have a phone?
And that's the point where I was going to, was the government says in 2025, if you don't have a smartphone, we'll provide one for you. Just like when we went from analog to digital TV. I don't know if you guys are probably too young to remember that, but you may remember like 7 years ago we went from analog to digital TV. And if you had a TV that was analog, what happens, the government said, hey, we're getting rid of the analog signal. What's going to happen is all TVs are going to go digital. What did the government do? Send everybody a box that converted your analog to digital TV. They just gave you the box, so what happens, they gave you a little bit of money, I think it was like $100, that says, hey, you can go buy this for your analog TV. Government will provide it for you if it's not there. And so there's crazy things are happening. The other thing, folks, is when we get to choices, goods and services. Okay, goods are obviously something that's tangible. Services are something that somebody provides for you. What is there more of? Well, what makes up the majority of our GDP? Is it the purchase of goods, or do you think it's the purchase of services? Services, and it's not even close. Realize it's not even close. And then the last one is products. And realize goods and services together are referred to as products. Okay? Goods and services is services together are referred to as products. So the economizing problem. Okay? The economizing problem in economics, folks, is scarcity. I'm simplifying this for you as much as I possibly can. Here's how you should think of scarcity in this class. It is limited, it is unlimited wants, and it is limited resources. If you can remember this, you will be fine in this class. Scarcity is simply unlimited wants and is limited resources. Okay? Something to tell you guys about me, and you're going to hear a lot about this, is when I was in 7th grade, I saw a movie called Risky Business with Tom Cruise. It was one of his first movies ever. And what happened was in there, I snuck in. I was in 7th grade, I was supposed to go, but it's okay. But what's going on is I didn't care about the movie, but I saw the car that he was driving. And I fell in love with the car. And I told myself when I was in 7th grade, I'm going to buy that car someday. And what's going to happen is ever since that point in time, I dream about this car. I want this car so bad. I dream of myself driving it with my hair flowing through the wind. Yes, it's a dream, leave me alone. And I'm driving on the Autobahn, and what happens is I'm driving this car, and I'm just ecstatic. I want this car, I dream about it, I think about it at least once every 3 days. If you ask me if I give up one of my kids for the car, I'd have to pause for a second before I say no, okay? I want this car really, really bad, okay? Do I have an unlimited want for this car? If you didn't get it, yeah. The answer is yes, okay? I may give up one of my kids for the car, okay? What is my problem?
It's an expensive car.
It's an expensive car. I'm a teacher. I make $2,000 a year approximately, okay? That car costs $239,865 approximately. Mint condition, under 3 miles, tinted windows, okay? I want that car as bad as I possibly can. And so understand, I can't afford it. Well, when they're sitting there trying to think of who they should sell this car, they're not thinking Ty Granning. Why? It is scarce for me. I have the want, I don't have the resources. So what are the resources that we need to talk about? The resources we need to talk about, folks, are something called the factors of production. This is a fancy word for resources, okay? The 4 resources that you have to know for factors of production are as simple as this. It is land, okay? It is land. Land involves natural resources. So lumber, steel, gold, diamonds, that is land, okay? It is labor. It's not just you and I doing physical labor, it is also the intellectual labor. Understand, labor here is trademarks, it is copyrights, okay? It is those types of things, all right? It is capital. Now here's the question. When you think capital, remember I have to twist your mind about 90 degrees. What do you think here?
Money.
Money. It is not money, okay? When we talk about capital, money is not considered. What is considered is capital goods. And here's how I can simplify capital goods for you as much as I possibly can. Capital goods are tools. They're the tools used in making a product, okay? So realize if a crane was used in making a school, that is a capital good. If a hammer is used in making a school, that is a capital good. If there's tape used to make this school, which hopefully was not used, okay? But you get the idea, that would be a capital good. In this class, money is not a capital good. And here's why. Nothing new is created with money. I'm going to say that again. Nothing new is being created with money. What happens with money? It transfers from here to here. That is a big concept in this class. Nothing new is being created with money. Hint, hint, hint. Okay? Hopefully you know what that means. Yeah?
Was this the one that, like, when you use the example of the school, like the land was considered capital?
Correct. Absolutely. Yep.
Money doesn't make.
And the last one, folks, is entrepreneurship. Okay, the last one is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship are those people who are the risk takers. Okay, those people who sit there and have the money and say, you know what, I think I have a great idea. I'm gonna go out there, and what's gonna happen is I'm gonna do this. This is the Mark Zuckerbergs. This is the Jeff Bezos. This is the Bill Gates. This is the Steve Jobs. This is all those people who have those great ideas. Okay, because if we sit there and look at it, why does Jeff Bezos? Why did he create Amazon.com?
Convenience.
Money, okay? Jeff Bezos isn't going, you know what, I just want to get people a bunch of junk to their house in 2 days, okay? He's not doing it because I just want to make people happy, okay? He's doing it because he wants to get rich. He's doing it because, folks, what happens is he has this stuff and he's trying to make a profit. That's what he's trying to do, okay? And so it's entrepreneurship. When we talk about entrepreneurship, we're talking about risk takers. That's the way we define it. It's probably a different definition than what you probably hear from Hardman or Jacob or Fanazo, okay? We consider them to be risk takers in this class. The last one is this one, is opportunity cost, okay? Opportunity cost is the idea that because of scarcity, a choice has to be made. And when a choice has to be made, there has to be something given up, okay? And so what we say in economics is opportunity cost is the second best alternative. The word that we use to describe opportunity cost is Tinstaffel, okay? I say it like it's German. It is not a German word, it is an acronym. It is very, very simple. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Opportunity cost, folks, is the idea that nothing is free. Everything has a cost, okay? Everything has a cost. And so if I went up to Joey and I said, Joey, and I'll come back to it, Joey, hey, you know what, Joey, I like you so much. Though what's gonna happen is I'm gonna buy you a car today, okay? Now treat this real, because this could really happen, okay? Now, your three choices for cars are the Aston Martin 177, the Lamborghini Revington, the Ferrari Enzo, okay? Which one would you choose first?
The top one.
The top. So you're going with the Aston Martin 177. Which one would be last?
The bottom one.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Good
So
idea, too.
I don't agree with Joey, but what's going to happen here is he gets the Aston Martin 177. He's making a choice. Why does he have to make the choice? Because I can only afford one of them. Why? I'm a teacher. I make $2,000 a year. Okay? I can get him one. I can't get him all three. So he has to make a choice because, in this case, money is scarce for him. What is his opportunity cost?
The other cars.
What is it? The other cars, I heard. It isn't the other cars. And here's where you have to wrap your head around. Remember, opportunity cost is the second best alternative. So let's say he goes, Aston Martin 177 is the car I want. And I go, hey, Joy, sorry, you know what? They ran out of Aston Martin 177s today. Okay? Which car does he get instead? He gets the Lamborghini Revington, right? So if he does get this one, what is he giving up by choosing this one? It's the Lamborghini. Opportunity cost, folks, and this is a very hard concept for people to wrap their heads around. Opportunity cost is always the second best alternative. Why? Because nothing is free. If I walk up to Zach and I go, hey Zach, which markers do you want? Red, green, or black?
Black.
Which one's second?
Red.
Green is third. What is his opportunity cost?
Red.
The red one, okay? If I walk up to,
Oh, yeah.
if I walk up to, who I got? Drew.
Oh my God.
I got a stapler, I got tape, and I got a picture of my family. Which one do you want? Which one's second?
Family picture?
Why, that's a little creepy. Just a little bit creepy. Okay. Which one is the opportunity cost?
Family picture.
Creepy. Okay. But you get the idea, folks. The idea that we have to understand here is the fact that everything has a cost. Okay? There is no such thing as something that's free. Here's the mind-blowing thing. Here we have something tangible, though. Here we can sit there and say, yep, that tangible thing is the opportunity cost. What if I give, let's say I give Evan a gift certificate to go to Burger King and get a Whopper meal. He goes, "Granny, that's awesome. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to get my Whopper meal." He doesn't have to pay a dime. He just has to hand over the certificate going, "Hey, here's my Whopper." Is there an opportunity cost there? There is. Because if you can't figure out what the tangible opportunity cost is, the opportunity cost is always what? What is he giving up by going to Burger King and getting a Whopper meal?
McDonald's.
No, he's not. Good guess, though. Here's the part that you have to get. And this is, by the way, if you're in college econ 101, they're going to spend about 3 weeks on this. So this is a really important thing. What are you giving up? What do you say, Gonzaga?
Not getting a Whopper meal.
You're kind of there.
Would it be getting something different on the menu?
No? Sitting? Stacey?
Paying for it?
What's that?
Paying for it?
No? Don't?
Getting a Whopper later?
No? No?
You getting a Whopper.
If he didn't go in there and get the Whopper meal, what could he have been doing instead?
Anything?
Anything else. He could be studying for economics. Okay? He could be going to school. He could be working. Okay? So what is he giving up? Time. That's the thing that you have to remember. If you can't figure out, and you need to write this down, if you can't figure out what the opportunity cost is, folks, it is always time. It's the fact that, you know what, instead of me going to school, I could be working. I'm giving up time. Okay? It is a key concept. So when we talk about it, there's nothing in here where you can sit there and go, "Hey, Granning, there's no cost." There's always a cost in economics idea. Why? Tenstoffel. Okay? There is no such thing as a free lunch. It is tenstoffel, it's opportunity cost. Okay? And so, I'm going the wrong way. We have purposeful behavior. Okay? Adam Smith says that what's going on is we make choices because of scarcity. And when we make those choices, what's going to happen is there's an opportunity cost. Our fear is that we make the wrong choice. And so when we sit there and make choices, folks, what happens is we do it with purposeful behavior. What does he talk about this is? He talks about self-interest. Okay? In Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, he talks about this concept called self-interest. Okay? What he refers it to, and you need to write this down, is he calls it the invisible hand. He's saying that there is something that caused you to get out of bed today, even though you had a 2-hour late start, get out of bed and come to college macroeconomics during third block. And it wasn't because, geez, I just want to be an economist. And stuff. What it was is it was self-interest. There is something that's literally pushing you out of that bed going, you know what? I know I have to get to college macro today because Granny's going to try to get through chapter 1 and have a quiz on Friday. And if I'm not prepared for that quiz on Friday, now I'm back. Self-interest, you're worried about what? Yourself. You're worried about your future. And you're making choices that are going to benefit yourself. Now, on the other hand, here's what he also says. Is this a good thing? He says it's all the time. He says it's all the time. Because let's say Zach comes in, he takes the quiz, he learns some macro and stuff, and all of a sudden, he does really well in the quiz on Friday. Then what happens is he goes in for a scholarship meeting, and what's going on is they say, hey, we saw you did well in the chapter 1 quiz. We're going to give you $10,000. Okay? And now he's going to college for free, and he goes, dang, I feel pretty good about this. I'm going to become a doctor. And what happens is some kid comes up with measles from the state of Washington, and he saves their lives. That's the way Adam Smith thinks about self-interest. that by him being concerned about himself and making himself better, he's going to make it better for what? Everybody. That's the way he thinks about self-interest. And so in economics, folks, self-interest is a very, very good thing. It is an invisible hand pushing you to do better. And the more that you get pushed to do better, the better off we're all going to be. And so individuals in this case have self-interest. Why? Because of a word called utility. What does utility mean? Anyone?
Like pleasure.
If you're in another class, it'd be pleasure. You'd be exactly right. Usefulness is probably the best way I'd probably turn this. When you sit there and think about utility, folks, think of usefulness. Okay? If something has utility, it has usefulness. Individuals want to have utility. They want to have usefulness. Hence the invisible hand. Why do businesses do it? Businesses do it because what happens is they want profit. When we talk about the decisions or the choices of businesses, what they're looking for, folks, is they're looking for profit. They're looking for desired outcomes. Okay? They're looking for, hey, this was our profit line before, this is where we're at now. Okay? How do we make choices? Okay? And the answer here is marginal analysis. Marginal analysis involves two different things. One is called marginal benefits. Remember I said marginal is what? Additional or added benefit. That's the way you can think about this. And what happens here, bless you, we have marginal costs or additional costs. Guess what we do with marginal benefits and marginal costs? We compare them. And if the benefits are greater than the costs, guess what we do? We make that choice. Understand, folks, you do this every single day. You do this every single day. When you sat there and walked through that door and you're trying to figure out, hey, where should I sit? You did a marginal analysis. Here's the benefits of Zach sitting up front. Here are the benefits of Luke sitting in the back. Okay? And what they did was, folks, they decided the benefits of me sitting here are greater than the costs. Why? Because you would never do something that's not in your what? Best self-interest. You're doing marginal analysis all the time. And what's going on here, folks, is marginal meaning extra, additional. We compare those marginal benefits to those marginal costs constantly. Okay? Yeah?
So it's like pros and cons?
It's pros and cons. It's a good way of thinking. Pros and cons. Absolutely. Okay? Now, one thing we're going to find out in economics is if I can show you the definition, if I can talk about it, the other thing I have to be able to do is I have to be able to show it to you in graphical expression. So this is what you'll have to see on the quiz on Friday. You'll have to be able to understand this graph. Okay? And understand we have marginal benefits and marginal costs over here. We have pizza here. Pizza, for some reason, is a popular topic in economics. But what's going on is here's our curve for marginal benefits. Here's our curve for marginal costs. What's going on here is here the marginal benefits are greater than the marginal costs. And whatever this choice is on pizza, am I going to buy one pizza here? Will I buy the pizza?
Yes.
Yes. My marginal benefits, we don't know what the heck 15 means. We just know it's greater than 5. My marginal benefits is 15. My marginal cost is 5. 15 is greater than 5. We're going to make the choice. Over here, if I come back to it, the marginal cost is 15. The marginal benefits is 5. Am I making the choice here?
No.
No. What about right here? This is the one you have to know. If the marginal benefits and the marginal costs are exactly the same, do you think I'll make the choice?
I would.
Yeah.
You would. Okay? Hint, hint, hint. If the marginal benefits and the marginal costs are the same, folks, you still make the choice. Is anything being gained here? No. But the thing is we have potential. Okay, and there's nothing really comes. Okay, I'm gonna fly by this. I'm guessing you're in a class, everybody knows the scientific method, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have to go through it. Just realize it's a social science, economics, social science. So what happens is we use the scientific method.
Scientific method?
Mr. Granning.
No.
He's not here today. Yeah. Bye.
See, like, form hypothesis, faithful observations, and do tests
here's what we have to know in this class though, folks, okay? There are certain levels of certainty in this class. The highest level of certainty in this class is a law, okay? If we think something is true all the time, we refer to it as a law. Right below a law is a principle. Understand in economics, there's very little black and white. I'm sorry, there's very little anything other than black and white. There's very little gray. It's either this or it's this. Economics, we're going to run into laws again and again and again. We're going to run into law of supply. We're going to run into law of demand. We're going to run into Okun's law. We're going to run into the method law. We're going to run into Rainier's law. We're going to run into the GDP law. We hold those things to be true. Okay? Now the thing is there are times where what's going to happen is, there are times we're going to sit there and go, Granning, what about this? Granning, you're saying that there's this and this and this, and that's it? And I'm going to smile at you. Okay? I'm going to smile at you. And you're going to question something I say. And again, I will smile at you. And I will say, ceteris paribus. Okay? Here's what ceteris paribus means. Ceteris paribus means other things equal. Here's one way of thinking ceteris paribus. Who cares? You're questioning what I'm saying? Ceteris paribus. Who cares? It is often referred to as the middle finger of economics. You're questioning what I'm saying? Ceteris paribus. Realize, do not use this on other people, okay? But that's what ceteris paribus means. It means, I don't care what you say, this is how it is. Now, when we come back on Friday, what's going to happen is we're going to talk about how ceteris paribus works in something called production possibilities curve, okay? But that's where we're at today. We did not get through all of chapter 1. I believe that's us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe it is. Oh, no, I got 8 minutes.
Hey.
You guys lying? Okay. So what's going on here is we got ceteris paribus. It is just basically who cares, okay? And so when we get to this, we've already talked about macro and micro, and we've talked about the way that we probably need to do it. Macro meaning countries, micro meaning individual units. What are the 3 groups that we talk about in micro? Individuals, families, and corporations. Okay? Macro is about entire countries. Okay? Here's the other part, and this will actually be the last thing we talk about because when we get to PPCs, we're not going to be able to go any farther. Okay? There is something beyond micro and macroeconomics. We've already talked about micro and macroeconomics. There is also something called positive and normative economics. Okay? Positive economics is facts. Okay? The way I think about this is positive economics is facts. It includes descriptions, it includes theory development, it includes theory testing. Is the scientific method used here? It absolutely is. When we talk about laws and principles, this is the laws and principles that we're talking about. What does it do? It avoids value judgment. So, if I say the unemployment rate is 4% right now, is that a fact? It is. That is positive economics. The other one that we have is normative economics. It incorporates value judgments. If I say that the unemployment rate is 4% because of President Trump's policy, that is now normative economics. The way you need to think about this, folks, is this is facts, and this is involving judgment. Okay? So we don't just talk about economics in terms of micro and macro. The other way that we can term it is in terms of positive and normative economics. Okay? Sound good? Is there any questions? Now, this being said, the last thing we have to do is we have to talk about something called PPCs on Friday. Okay? So on Friday, what's going to happen is we're going to do current events. We'll do current events quiz. We'll talk about this. We'll move on to chapter 2 and do a little bit of chapter 2. And then the last 15 minutes of class And we always do the quiz the last 15 minutes. And the reason is because some people take the quiz 5 minutes, some people take 15 minutes, but when you get done the quiz, then you can just go. Okay, and that's just kind of the way that we do it. So in chapter 1, realize, take a look at your study guide. If there's something up here that I didn't sit there and explain very well, I feel like I flew through it. I feel like I skipped, or I didn't give as great details as probably what I should have. There's usually a lot more that I'm incorporating there, but I did give you the basics. And you have a textbook and you have the study guide. Okay, so there's just a couple things more that we have to talk about in chapter 1. So current events quiz on Friday, chapter 1 quiz on Friday, finish up chapter 1, start chapter 2. Give me your topic by Tuesday of next week. Ready? See ya. Thank you for your patience.